Let's go. Let's go. Oh, man. Oh. Still can't believe it. Oh. What are we supposed to do now? I don't know. Yeah, there's so many different things that we have to get into today. Wow. LSU goes down to UCLA in a blowout. And we are in this position now. I'm kind of speechless, but I'm also not too surprised. I tweeted this out before the game. This was the most nervous I have ever been for a game. And yeah, I gave a let's go at the beginning. Let's go. We got a long live stream lined up for you today. I understand a lot of you watching on replay isn't going to like that open, but that was really tough. That was really tough because a lot of the things that we were told going into this year were things that we thought were going to get fixed. And now we're in this position now where is it the head coach? That's a big question, right? Because I am not so sure if there was a huge gap in talent, especially when the UCLA team, which is very experienced, you saw in my film studies this week that this team was going to be really good. But I was really shocked that Dorian Thompson-Robinson, their quarterback, who last week did not play well at all, didn't really make any big-time throws in this game. There really wasn't a throw where you said, okay, wow, this guy is really shredding us. All it was tight end crossers and shallow crossers. And what did we say during the halftime? We told you. I told you this during the halftime speech. You can go back and watch it, that what I said the adjustment needs to be is to stop the shallow crossers. Don't let DTR win this game with easy throws. Force him to do something special. Run zone. Cover the tight end. Double cover the tight end. Make them throw to somebody else. Okay? And I got to go with what King Ulysses said here. Okay? And we get to Max's super chat now. When does Woodward give Brady a call to be the head coach? For real? Well, this was the entire coaching staff. You have to, at some point, say to yourself, our linebackers are getting torched over the middle. They haven't made any throws outside the hash. We've just got to clog the middle. We have to clog the passing lanes. And LSU never did anything. And I told you guys that the third quarter under Ed Orgeron was abysmal. Okay? And I understand. A lot of people want to go to Garrett Nussmeier, and a lot of people want to fire Ed Orgeron now. Obviously, let's first talk about the game itself. Okay, LSU jumps out to a 7-0 lead, and legit, this was pretty much the same playbook of the Mississippi State game from last year, where there were some questionable decisions that led to LSU losing this game, okay? And a lot of it's coaching. We go to Valenti here. Offensive line still can't block. Maybe it's just those guys aren't any good. James Craig wasn't that great, but maybe it's just those guys up front aren't any good. It was a tough fix for Brad Davis to get this group ready, especially when Cam Wire got hurt. The Dare Rosenthal loss was huge. Looks like he potentially could be on a better team right now as well. And that's what happens when you lose a cornerstone left tackle, because then Cam Wire has to play left tackle. He gets hurt. Austin Deculus gets hurt. Something else leading up to this game is LSU had a lot of injuries, a lot, without ever even playing a game. They were really hurt. So, Valenti wants to talk linebackers and safeties still aren't communicating. Yes, that's a big issue. Keishawn Butte was great. He did kind of sort of drop a red zone catch that we need him to make, but it's kind of hard to blame him for anything in this game. I thought the LSU wide receiver rotation was a bit ridiculous tonight. You wonder why a lot of these receivers aren't catching 50-50 balls. Well, they're being subbed in and out at 1,000 miles per hour. Brian Thomas Jr. and Jack Besh play early. They get 0 targets after that. Well, Besh got 1, but it's an issue, okay? So, Valenti, thank you so much for your super chat. The linebackers still aren't communicating. You got to blame a lot of this on Blake Baker. Blake Baker said last year, our linebackers aren't playing with good technique. I'm going to fix it. It wasn't fixed. It simply wasn't fixed. Now, once again, this was the first game. So here's the thing. When you have a bunch of young coaches and you're in a hostile environment, I understand Ed Orgeron is a let the coaches coach kind of coach. And I totally get it. But at some point, you got to step in and say, here are the few things we need to do. Okay? So, yeah. It's tough. Yeah, we're looking 7-5 right now. And this is where I started getting really concerned about LSU. And I'm not going to lie. I had some flirtations with the under as well for this reason. When you play a lot of these 50-50 games, you have to have a coaching staff that can adjust. And this was a 50-50 game. And that third quarter was so huge. And let's be honest, that third quarter was really disastrous for LSU. Their only touchdown came when the legit best blocker of the night for LSU was a referee. Okay, that is not good when your best blocker is the zebra umpire, okay, for the long Keishawn touchdown. It's an issue. So it's bad. And I feel bad for our viewers in Europe, like I can't even think right now. We got a few watching right now. Batman Blessed. He's in Turkey, stayed up 26 hours. Carter Ed is 2-11 when trailing at halftime. I mean, I'm at a loss. Bama, Ohio State, and Clemson, even though they lost tonight, are a blue chip program. Yeah, I didn't get to watch a Clemson game. But, yeah, this was a bad look for Ed Orgeron. It was a bad look. It was a bad look. Obviously, lots of injuries hurt. Lots of injuries hurt. Going into this game, LSU had bad injury luck. They really did. But you're also paid $7 million to figure this out, okay? You have to tell your coaching staff, we need to stop the shallow crossers. How do you stop shallow crossers? Well, you play some cover 2 and some cover 3. You play some zone coverage, right? You just do something. Force them to do something else, okay? So, part of that is true. Part of that's a run game. Part of that is just bad. It was really bad. Okay. I was also a little interested in no Corey Keiner tonight. Rob, let me know what question you want. Thank you for your super chat. The dog and the duck. You got to love it. But yeah, this is what's going to happen when a game gets tight and you have 2 first-time play callers. Durante's second half was way worse than his first. Some of that's Orgeron, though. Some of that is Corey Raymond. Some of that is, hey, we have the outside locked up. let's do what we need to do to cover the middle. Some of that also is a lack of talent over the middle. Damon Clark was, this has been an issue for him for years. Micah Baskerville is he's been around for a while. Their run fits were not the absolute worst, but they weren't great either. And for the second straight year, LSU doesn't have the proper safety play. Now, I don't know if it's personnel. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know exactly what it is, but LSU's got some issues. They have got some big issues, okay? They are extremely weak on the offensive line. They are extremely weak at linebacker. They are by far, beyond horrible at safety. I think defensively, they're a little too easy to figure out pre-snap. And this is why we did all these film studies this week, okay? And this is why you really got to watch every video on this channel, because I try my best to relay this information. Quarterbacks are able to read the LSU defense like it's green eggs and ham. I mean, this is basic Dr. Seuss, Clifford kind of stuff. And that's part of it as well. I think the defense, I think you got to switch some things up. So it's an issue. And the thing that really bothers me is Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he didn't make any plays. He didn't make any plays at all. Okay? Let's give this UCLA fan a lot of credit. I know he just dropped $300 here, and that obviously helps pay rent. Look, this is why one of the trivia options is what it is, okay? I understand you guys aren't going to like hearing a UCLA fan brag, but he also did donate RCO a lot of money to the channel before this game even began. So I'm going to give UCLA their credit, because what we like to do as fans is we like to focus in. This was all us. UCLA was a really good team. Fight. You guys shouldn't overreact, though. My Bruins are actually good this year, and that is a tight first game on the road. You guys will figure some of this out through the year. Well, UCLA is a good team. I shared this on film all week, that this game is going to be close. And when that point spread started dropping, and when the injuries started flowing in, and when Ed Orgeron was more worried about a trash-talking fan sitting in the nosebleeds, that should let you know that there are some concerns. Okay? So, RCO, thank you so much for being a part of our channel this week, and I really appreciate it. Now, let's actually go through a few topics here. And RCO, I do think UCLA is really good. Can they win the Pac-12? Absolutely. Hey, from what I've seen, the linebackers really had poor coaching. Noah, thank you for your super chat. And the offense did good when they ran the ball, not spreading the receivers. Yeah, I think part of LSU's issue is their run blocking isn't good. They also don't have a lot of juice at running back. Okay, they just don't. TDP is not a game changer. He's good. He is Nicholas Brissett, basically. And Nicholas Brissett was a good back who had great blocking. Okay? Let's just put it this way. TDP and John Emery, who, by the way, reportedly missed this game due to academics. That's horrible. How does an academic issue happen now, right before the week of the game? Like, what do you do? Like, do you just not show up to classroom? How do you let your entire team down? It's an issue, okay? Is some of the stuff that LSU's going through right now, is there... Let me put it this way. I think part of the issue for LSU is some of their experienced players aren't really game changers. I think that's also a problem, okay? So, we'll see. But yeah, TDP hasn't had many holes to run through, but he's also just a guy. And that's okay. Most running backs aren't special. We got spoiled in the mid-2000s going from Hill, Fournette to Geis, and then Clyde. Most running backs aren't special. He's good. He needs better blocking, but he's also just good. Once again, he's And it's okay. Nicholas Brissett was a really good back. But yes. Esteban, we'll talk about the injuries a little bit later. So let's go through this. All right. Let's check in on the poll question here. So far, Ed Orgeron and coaching staff is leading the way at 57%. Yeah, Carvis, I know. And you cheer for him. You've cheered for them for quite some time. Let's see. Marcus, thank you so much for your support. Let's see here. Once again, RCO, really thank you. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Checking in on Robert. Read what's going on. You should be disappointed. And this is also an issue as well. Okay. And I kept getting told this, and I'm not going to lie. This was a comment that I kept hearing, and I'm not going to lie to you. This was the comment that bothered me the most. Okay. So can I share just one thing really with you? Because I am really hurt. You guys come here for an objective viewpoint. This does hurt. You know, I look at LSU football every single day. Every single day. I care about this team more. The only things I care about are you guys, Haley, and my dog. That's it. All right. And LSU football. That's all I care about. Right. I have some other things I like, but this really did hurt today. Right. Now, this was a comment that bothered me the most. I kept hearing, well, last year it was just the talent. It was just the players last year. And it was Bo Pelini and it was the coaches. And it was a lot of that. It was a lot of that. Okay. When you lose all the talent from the year before, the problem though, were the issues, some of the issues that LSU had last year didn't have anything to do with playing and didn't have anything to do with Bo Pelini. It had a lot to do with the head of Orgeron. It had a lot to do with getting the team ready to go. Because you go back to last year, you know, LSU really only had one dominant performance last year, okay? And that was against Vanderbilt. The South Carolina game was with all that extra time to prepare. And with this UCLA game, you also had more time to prepare. Now, they had the advantage of getting a scrimmage walkthrough, but it was a big change. Howie, thank you. Howie just dropped a really generous Venmo. I really do appreciate that, Howie. I really do. I won't share how much money was just given to me, but I appreciate you, Howie. Thank you. And if you want any question, just please ask me. Cody, thank you. Look, guys, Cody has his PHL shirt on. LSU, till we die. Let's go. Okay? Ed Orgeron's currently on the podium. I will share what information I will bring. When is Miles Brennan coming back? So let me ask you this question, and then we'll go through what everything Ed Orgeron had to say. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of this game do you blame Max Johnson on? Okay, I'll read you Max Johnson's stat line. 26 of 46 for 330, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Okay? I also am going to say something that's going to maybe get me in trouble with some of you. I can't play the audio of Ed Orgeron. I just can't. But I will get to some of it in just a second. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good was Max Johnson in this game? 10 being very awesome, Joe Burrow-esque, and 1 being not great at all. Okay? It was on the O-line more than Max. So here's what I will say about this, Rai. And Rai, you've been with me for quite some time. Some of that is true. However, my retort to that would be Max Johnson's pass protection actually was not that bad. It really wasn't, because UCLA blitzed a lot. The run blocking was bad. The pass blocking could have been better, but I honestly thought they were decent at blitz pickup. At the very least, you know, they had a few whiffs, That's going to happen when you run the type of offense and you play that type of defense. I think part of the issue, though, LSU's not playing the right wide receivers. I don't think LSU's playing the right wide receivers. I would put Max Johnson's performance at a 6. Obviously, the throw backwards was bad. Also, Max just didn't have the right kind of zip on some of his passes. The ball floated on him a little bit. You saw a little bit of timidness in some of his throws. I also thought LSU's wide receivers didn't make some of the 50-50 catches. But I don't think LSU's playing the right wide receivers. I understand Trey Palmer had a lot of catches tonight. He had 7. He also drew a pass interference penalty, which was fine. He also averaged 6.7 yards per catch, which means he didn't do a whole lot with the ball when he got it. So he didn't break a tackle. I just don't think he's the right guy in the slot. I just don't. I think the LSU wide receiver core, I look, Dre Jenkins, 3 catches, 46 yards. Okay? 15.3 yards per catch. And I think he needs to be one of the receivers on the field at all time. Okay? I understand. I'm a big Dre guy. I truly do believe in his talent. He had a drop. It was a tough catch. Ball floated a little bit. He's got to make it. I think Dre needs to be one of the receivers. And I would like to see Dre work a little out of the slot. I would also like to see Brian Thomas Jr. play more. Okay? Once again, it's just my eye test. But I kept hearing from people that I trust that Brian Thomas Jr. is that dude. I would roll with those 3 guys and see where we go from there. Tony, good to see you. Kayshawn, Dre, and BTJ. That's who I want to see. Okay? I don't like calling anyone sorry, but I don't think Trey's the answer. I don't think. Yeah. We need a solid coaching group. Here's the problem with this, okay? Here's a big problem I have with this. I thought Jake Peetz had one really bad play call. One really bad play call. I think everything else is situational, and you have to know your team. So I don't like to ever get too critical over one play call. However, the decision to try to run a slip screen to Cole Taylor, who is your least potent tight end, okay? When on film the week before, UCLA had a pick 6 on a slip screen. UCLA had a batted ball on a slip screen. UCLA had 2 tackles for loss on that exact play. And we were trying to run that play to get the football in the hands of a player who might run a 4.8. He might. Who is not deadly with the football in his hands at all. I thought that was Jake Peetz's by far worst play call. That was horrible. Okay? Because on the film last week, it did not work. Hawaii tried it. UCLA's front is really light. So, yeah, that was a bad call by Jake. Overall, I thought he called a decent game. He needs to tighten the rotation. Someone's got to step up and say, look, some of you guys just aren't going to play, okay? The rotation is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You just can't do it. I've never seen a wide receiver rotation like that. We badly got outplayed, but I have to give props to their defense. There was no telling what they were going to do. So Tony watches basically every video that we do. And this goes back, and Tony watched every live stream. Tony even monogrammed me a shirt and sent it to me. Tony's a PHL realist, okay? He remembers what we talked about in this chat last year. The LSU defense is too easy to figure out pre-snap, okay? What I think they need to do, and Dave Aranda did this to his defense at the end of 2019, and you notice they got a lot better. You've got to switch up your personnel. I didn't understand why Mason Smith didn't play more, especially when you started losing by a lot and you needed a big play. Very first drive of the game, Mason Smith was the one that forced the punt. I honestly thought this was a game where LSU should have played more freshmen. I think LSU could be in a scenario where you're looking at a situation where you got to bench some older guys. Josh Williams Spark, why didn't we play the hot hand? I thought it was okay. Same with the receivers. Also, once again, Josh Williams is a good story. John Emery really let everyone down. It's all there is to it. If it really was an academic issue, once again, I don't like touching on players' academics because I wasn't a great student at LSU. But to have an academic issue the week of the game, that's really letting your team down. I mean, there were so many people that let this team down tonight with stuff like that. So, yeah. Let's go to Max here. Max, thank you always for your support, man, and always being in the chat. Early in the game, Max was feeling pressure when it wasn't there. Wide receivers dropped some passes. Couldn't get in the rhythm due to the dumb wide receiver rotation, forcing him into second guesses. Backwards pass on not top 10. Yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue, okay? I just don't get the wide receiver rotation. You can't make everybody happy. It's just the world we live in, okay? You guys all played sports, okay? Some of you weren't good enough to be on the field, okay? And you benched. You were benched. We've all been there, okay? Now, some of you might have been superstar athletes and you were never benched, but we've all been benched. Some of you were good at the sport you played and still couldn't play, okay? Kyle Trask almost won the Heisman last year. He didn't even play in high school. Sometimes you got to bench some people, okay? So, Max, you're right on here. And Max, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to give you some credit here. You said this last year. I remember you super chatting this. I'd have to find the live stream. You said basically the same thing. Defensively, I would have spread out the linebackers and pinched the D-line so safeties aren't forced to make tackles in the open field. We got to be completely honest on this as well. Kind of like how we start the live stream. Jordan Tolles ain't it, guys. I hate to say it. It's bad. It's not good. That was really bad. Now, once again, Jay Ward got hurt. I think Jay Ward got hurt when Zach Charbonnet ran him over. He was really in a lot of pain early in the game when Charbonnet really ran him over. And, Jay Ward getting hurt really hurt LSU. It really, really, really hurt LSU. So, yeah, that's an issue. That's a big issue. But Jordan Tolles was not ready. He's not ready to play Division I football. Mark, did Auburn win tonight? I have no idea. I didn't even get to see the Georgia game. Let's see. Todd Harris played some, and he also, I think, Durante Jones was brought in to fix the safety play, and that was probably LSU's worst position on the field tonight. Some of it was safety placement. So here's what happened on the first touchdown, okay? So a lot of you are probably familiar with the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. This is a play that is killer, okay? And my old high school coach runs this play. When you see single high safety, one play that is really hard on that single high safety is on stretch plays, running play action out of it, okay? That's exactly what happened. So LSU brought Todd Harris in the game. They had started creeping their safety into the box. So guess what happened? A huge chunk of the field was wide open. And you want to know why Chip Kelly knew that play was going to be open? Because Ole Miss did practically the same thing. It was a different type of play action, but they would slip the tight end into that open space, and Major Burns missed a tackle, and they work on that drill every day in practice, and it's just true. So I thought LSU's safety play was really bad tonight. So in other words, I hate to say it because I want it to work. Durante Jones had a really rough night at the office. And this is what can happen when you go up against offensive play callers who are really good at giving you different looks. So before that touchdown, UCLA had run the ball 12 times in a row. So a lot of people would say, well, that was smart because it set up that touchdown. Well, part of it is also saving some different looks for the second half, okay? Now, I was on 104.5 last week, and I shared this information there, and I will share it again now. And it was ironic because this was my least watched video, and the hardest I've ever worked on a video was the third quarter breakdown, okay? This was unreal when I saw how bad LSU was in third quarters. And it showed again tonight. LSU in 7 of their 10 games last year, I believe it was 7 of their 10 games, they allowed a touchdown or a field goal on the first drive coming out of half. The same thing happened here. LSU is so bad coming out of halftime. They are beyond abysmal, okay? To the point, and I don't like doing live wagers on LSU games, but I thought about betting UCLA second half because of it. So, yes, please hit the like button if you're here. Drop a Venmo, Cash App, or Super Chat, and we'll get to your question. I understand I get a lot of different questions in these live chats. The best way to do is support. Once again, Howie, thank you for your very generous Venmo from earlier. Also, let's be honest, not having Marcus Freeman kind of hurt here. He's really special. I don't know how he's going to do at Notre Dame. He would have been better. Now, once again, part of the reason why Durante didn't have a good game tonight was this was his first game being between the headsets. Still, it would have been nice to have a little bit more experience. And then we get to this from Carvis. I'm questioning the starters on the defense. Not only should you question the starters, you should question the scheme as well. So, yeah. Please do not curse because I can't put your comment up on the thing. And once again, cursing's fine. I do stand up. I'm around comedians. I hear cursing every other word. But please do not curse here because I want to put every one of y'all's comments. We just need to be real. We're recruiting the wrong player. Damon Clark should not be the leader on defense. Yeah, it was a rough game for him. Okay, so Plum actually spent probably a few G's to get out to California, and he was living it up. I hate it for my PHL members who wore their LSU gear to the Rose Bowl tonight. Plum is currently in Pasadena. Dude, we suck. RBs can't run. Wide receivers can't catch. Safeties can't tackle. QBs can't pass. Look, Max should have been benched as soon as you threw that ball behind his back. Yeah, that was not smart by Max at all. So, yeah. Now, I understand a lot of you are frustrated, but Plum is actually in California right now. I really hate that. I really hate that for you, man. Sage Ryan's going to get his chance, but we'll see. Now, I'm not looking at my phone to ignore you guys. I'm going to read some of the quotes that Ed Orgeron shared on the podium. Let's go to Brody Miller here, and let's go through some of these quotes here. Emery will be week to week on his return. Academic issues, why does that even matter? He wouldn't have changed anything tonight. Ed Orgeron led with physicality at the point of attack as something that went wrong tonight. That's honestly not really it. It was physicality wasn't the issue. It was not filling your gaps. I could argue that tonight was more mental than it was physical. I thought LSU's offensive line, they didn't move anyone. So, physically at the point of attack, no, I give them that. It was bad. However, you got to coach around that. And LSU started to. They just could not figure anything out after that. So, yes, physically they were beaten at the point of attack. Ed Orgeron says Max Johnson was hot and cold. I didn't get many Ed Orgeron quotes. I guess media availability wasn't good enough. Okay, whatever. How could the crossing route kill us? Well, it's when you don't mix up your coverages. You've got to mix up your coverages. Okay, you can't just run 2-man under all game. You can't just run man. You can't just trust your linebackers to do what they're going to do. I think some of it is mental. I think the game is moving too fast for some of the guys on the field, and that's just how it is. Some of that's coaching. So, the bottom line is you just don't see Georgia's defense ever looking as bad as LSU's defense the last 2 years. You just don't see Nick Saban's defenses looking as bad as they were the last couple of years. Now, once again, they do recruit at a slightly better level than LSU, and their defenses are really good, and those are two legendary defensive coaches. But they are never really lit up, especially in season openers. This is the second straight year the season openers killed LSU. And this game felt so much like Mississippi State. And I kept saying Mississippi State in the preview. It's just bad. I don't understand why LSU didn't go to Mike Jones. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. When your linebackers are getting beat in pass coverage, and that is what he is known for, what could have been worse? But yeah, Reed, you're right. We were not great at the point of attack. We could not move bodies. Here's the thing. I don't think physicality at the point of attack is the biggest reason why LSU lost this game tonight. I just don't think so. It was a big issue not having a running game, but that's not what your offense is based on really anymore. When you can't stop the run plays, it only hurts our ability to defend the pass. That first tee, we bit so hard on that stretch play and got gashed. That's true, JJ, and part of it was the structure. Okay, I thought Durante would play far more too high safety in this game. I'd have to rewatch the entire game, and once again, I don't have all 22. I thought a safety placement tonight would be better. It just wasn't. And part of it is just LSU just didn't have good enough safeties. And it would have been nice to have a healthy Sage Ryan. I also would not be opposed. And once again, this would be a drastic change, especially if Jay Ward really is hurt. I guess Ed Orgeron's media availability wasn't long. But Jay Ward being out, you're going to be in for a long season. But to me, this is the biggest issue, okay? I do put a lot of this on Ed Orgeron tonight. I really do, okay? And this is why. And I said this before the season over and over, and I understand that this could sound like beating a dead horse. But here's the thing. LSU's not going to blow a lot of teams out this year, okay? Max Johnson's a really good quarterback. He's not going to Joe Burrow people. It's just not going to happen, okay? This LSU offense is not good enough to just blow people out, okay? So there's going to have to be good in-game coaching from Ed Orgeron. We did a whole week on this. That's why we did the championship week. This game did not shock me tonight. How it actually went did not shock me. And before the game, I tweeted out, this was the most nervous I've ever felt about a game. I thought LSU had enough talent, even with the displacement, even with the hurricane travel, and even with Houston being what it was, even with not having John Emery and Jared Small and Dwight McGlothern and John Trey Kirkland and all these guys, even with not having them, even with not having Dare Rosenthal, I thought LSU had a chance to win this game tonight, okay? I did. Now, with that said, we got to regroup. Play more of our young talent. McNeese and CMU should allow this. Go Tigers. So, yeah. Graylin, it's time to regroup. It's group. Let's see. When you win a national title, Ed is a great coach. When the UCLA Bruins, what a bunch of knuckleheads. I don't know what the point you're making here. Go Tigers. Josh says we have to win out, right? I'm win out. I hope we win 7 or 8 at this point. Yeah, that was a tough hit. That's a good question here. Rate your confidence in the staff. So this is why it's tough to answer this question. As far as in-game coaching, they're about a 2 or a 3 right now. Okay. Now, as far as recruiting, they're pretty good. They're about 8 or 9, right? Someone commented, I hate how this is going to hurt recruiting, but that's the problem. Is recruiting is not the issue. Okay. Now, recruiting a certain position could be an issue, but that's not really the issue here, right? LSU is always going to recruit well. Okay. Now, if Walker Howard decommitted, then it's DEFCON 1. If Will Campbell or Emery Jones decommitted, LSU's fine recruiting. Okay. And the transfer portal is always going to be there. The problem is management. Okay. Game planning. The one thing I think Chip did a really good job of in this game. Okay. Against Hawaii, and I talked to Chris Osgood, a really ace 247 writer, about this. Against Hawaii, UCLA ran all verticals with their wide receivers. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why would UCLA run a ton of all verticals against Hawaii? And it finally made a little more sense when I was watching this game. I think Chip probably had the LSU defense off balance because a lot of what they did tonight was not what they did against Hawaii. I thought Chip called a really good game. I really did. I don't think the season is over. I don't think the season's over by any stretch of the imagination. Mississippi State didn't look great. Arkansas didn't look great. We'll see how Ole Miss looks. Kentucky looked really good today. Even though they beat down a bad team, They have a true dual threat at quarterback. They have the best offensive line in the SEC, not named Alabama. They're good. They're really good. Bama's Bama. A&M, I don't know anything about them. Really, I didn't see them. I don't even know what they won today. So, yeah, I have a few viewers saying I'm about to pop their tires. Don't do that. Our buddy, one of our viewers is by the UCLA team buses, and he wants to pop their tires. I don't want a Harvey Updike situation with Paul Weinbaum here. The season's not done. It's not done. It's not done. Michael, I don't know. That also was very strange, right? Why are so many players hurt during the last week of practice? Some of it could be the transition, practicing at the Houston Texans stadium. But, it's... I don't know. But, yeah. Who are you, Cliff? You're a Cowboys fan. I don't know if you really have an opinion. Jonah, I just joined and wanted to vote on the poll. But where is the section that says everything was a problem? Well, not everything. Cade York was money. Avery Atkins had a good night. I thought he punted pretty well. Sting had a good night outside of the missed tackle there at the end. Eli Ricks did Eli Ricks things. Oh, wow. Someone sent me an email saying their stuff got stolen. Let me see. I'll deal with, I'll deal with that after. That's crazy. LSU made one tackle, one decent play. Well, they never challenged him. I mean, Sting had an okay game, right? He never really got challenged. He missed one tackle. And you got to make that tackle. He didn't have a spectacular game, but he wasn't really even challenged. Something is wrong in practice or preparation. Our defense has been terrible since Orgeron became head coach. I think they were fine when Aranda was around. He quit on the play. There might have been some of that there, right? But it's kind of hard to have a bad game when they never challenge you, right? They never threw a pass his way. Now he needs to make the tackle there, but still. As Howie pointed out, our super chatter from earlier, the defense was nice with Aranda. But yeah, Derek Stingley has to play better. Everybody's got to play better. LJ says, can we just switch back to a 3-4? I'm a believer in it. I love Duranda's 3-4. Now, he did some variations with it at the end of 2019 that made the LSU defense really good. He made a really big change to how his defense was run from the Alabama game to the end, and it worked. It really worked. Jason! Love it, man. Let's see. How much more would it take for Ed O to be on the hot seat? I think he's there right now. Once again, if LSU and UCLA was in a game tonight where it was truly back and forth to the bitter end, it would be a lot different than how LSU lost tonight. Let's just say UCLA was making back shoulder catches on Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley, and they DTR was making these amazing throws, and he was Patrick Mahomesing in out there, and Max played incredible, and they beat us on a last-second field goal. Then there's not really much you can do differently. The issue, though, was none of that happened. A lot of tonight was just basic preventable stuff, okay? And it's just true. Here's Jason Super Chat. I don't want to hear the same song and dance from Mo. He's had a full spring and summer to prepare, and he got smoked. That's basically it. That's basically it. Now, once again, this is a player's game. Most of the game is in the hands of your players, but I would feel a lot more like that if, let's just say, everything that I just said theoretically would have happened. The issue was DTR did not make a single big-time throw. There was not a throw that he made that was in between a tight window or back shoulder throw or go from his second read to his third read. It was dropping back, hit the wide open guy, him run for a gazillion yards. Okay? And to Max's point, okay? So this follows up LJ Gaming's point. You can run a four-man front. Now, it may not look like it, but UCLA's defense is a four-man front. It's just very exotic. It's very light up front. You notice their defensive linemen are hyenas, basically. They're very active. Once again, you go back and look, there really wasn't a whole lot of elite pass rushing moves that they were making. They're just very active. They're very fast, and they chase and they run to the football. They have layers to their defense, whereas LSU's defense can get very flat. They can give up a bunch of big plays. What challenged Stingley and Ricks on the outside when you could attack the middle of the defense without a ton of resistance? Exactly. It's all there is to it. And this goes to my point here, followed up here by King Ulysses, who's a football sharp. LSU is too easy to read pre-snap. Now, you can win games with four-man rushes. You can do it. You just can't do it the entire game. Eventually, offensive coordinators are going to figure you out, and they do it all the time against LSU. That's why in the second half, you got to have a different set of plays. You really do. So, yeah, to Valenti's point, I mean, you got to do better. You got to do better. Let's see here. They won't go 3-9. There's too much talent on this team. They won't go 3-9. But there are some issues, okay? There are some issues. Yeah, they were, Kevin. But, once again, I don't... Putting a lot of this on Jordan Tolles is tough because of the injury to Jay Ward and Sage Ryan not being healthy and Dwight McGlothern not being healthy. I think when McGlothern gets healthy, you do have to throw him at safety just to see what happens. You know, it's an issue, okay? But our guys did get a little winded as well. We did get banged up. It seemed as if we were getting pushed around a little bit. It seemed as if at times that they were stronger, they were fresher, and this was them with a game in hand. It's crazy. Let's see. I'll just say it's not a coincidence that all the consistent top 5 recruiting class teams are also always in the top 5 to start, except one. You know what, Carvis? This is an important question. How much do we blame on Hurricane Ida? Obviously, this is on the minds of the players. You're transitioning over to Houston and all of that. That does play a role, but here's the problem with that, okay? I do agree that, of course, that should go into every evaluation. This was a catastrophic event. This is way more important than any silly football game. But my counter to that would be that these issues that happened tonight were issues that happened last year. It was the same exact stuff. It was the same exact problems. Here, Bryce, welcome to the channel. Max was off like deer in the headlights at times. Better linebacker coverage needed. We ran out of gas quickly. Let's start with point number 3 here. I do agree. Even with the heavy rotation, LSU looked a little winded. And they had a heavy rotation at a lot of different spots. Better linebacker coverage is needed. They also need better help. I thought Bug Strong on the final touchdown I don't know what he was thinking. I have no idea what he was thinking there. That was a really bad bust. Once again, this was his first game under the headlights. But if you were to ask most defensive coordinators now, is it more important for your linebackers to be consistent in coverage or consistent versus the run? They would tell you we need them to be more consistent in coverage. And LSU's linebackers weren't consistent in coverage tonight. They also should have gotten more help. Max was off like a deer in the headlights. Yeah, I think, I have to rewatch the film, Bryce. I thought pass protection against all the blitzes LSU was seeing was actually okay. I honestly thought it was okay. They had some bad, just absolute blown assignments, but that's going to happen when you play an exotic blitzing team with no running game going. But the run blocking was just so bad. Now, as far as Max's game, it could have been better. I just think he needs to plant and throw with more confidence. You can just see it that the ball floats a little on him. And, part of it is just, once again, just not thinking and just ripping. Just rip that thing, baby. Yeah, I was a little shocked that we didn't see Corey Keiner. This is part of it as well. If you hype up Corey Keiner for weeks now and you have nothing going in the running game, why would you not at least give him a carry? I understand it's the first game. I understand he's a true freshman. I understand you're really thin there. I understand John Emery put you in a really bad spot this week with the really, I don't know what happened there, but you gotta play him. Yeah, he missed a few throws tonight. He really did. He really did. Nuss shouldn't have played tonight. It just would not have been good. This would not have been a good matchup for what he does. I don't think Max played bad enough to be replaced. Where was Mike Jones? I don't know exactly. I just don't know. It seems like it would have been smart to play him. It was interesting, fantastic that, we were told that the team was feeling better and was overall healthy when that was not the case. It was not the case at all tonight. But yeah, I also thought at some point I was hoping Trey Palmer could break a tackle. He just couldn't. I like Trey Palmer. I like his story. He's a great returner. But he had a ton of targets tonight. He had 7 catches for 47 yards for a 6.7 average on 11 targets. So you get 11 targets and you get 47 total yards. That's just not good. It's not good. So yeah, this was really bad. Let's see. I don't blame Max. Both lines need to get their stuff together, and safeties and backers are soft and discombobulated. Not sure what fixes that. Yeah, it's an issue. Yeah, this would not have been a good game for Miles. It just wouldn't have. What they would have done is they would have turned it up even more. Obviously, the game would have been called a lot differently. But then again, Miles, I think, would have fit a pass or two. The problem when, and once again, I'm not a quarterback evaluator, but to me, it seems like Max's ball does float a little bit, and that can ruin the timing. I was a little shocked that BTJ did not get any more targets. He got 1 target, and he did a lot with it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they went away from him. Yeah, Taylor, I think the bigger issue was run blocking. Once again, I thought the pass pro wasn't that bad. It was bad. It wasn't unbelievable, but I thought the blitz pickup was okay. When they're blitzing that heavy, you just got to throw hot, and LSU was taking it. And this gets into another question. Ed Orgeron's punting and field goal kicking decisions. Okay, so LSU is down by 7. Okay, and the score is 24-17. And you have a 3rd and 2, and you have the crazy throw behind Max Johnson's back. And LSU elected to kick the field goal on 4th and 2. I kind of agree with it after a circus play, such as what Max just had, because he was so disheveled on the play. I think that did affect LSU's 4th down play calling, which is why, these media sessions with Ed Orgeron sometimes aren't the best. A question about John Emery is not as important as figuring out why he decided to kick the field goal there. I would have probably gone for it, okay? Here's why I would have gone for it there. It's 4th and 2 in plus territory, and when you kick a field goal, you still need to score a touchdown anyway after kicking that field goal. And your defense had started falling apart at the seams anyway. It wasn't the beginning of the game where your defense dominated. By the way, LSU historically in first quarters on defense actually is really good. They were really good defensively in first quarters outside of the Alabama game last year. So this game, if you actually look at how 2020 games went last year, the game went the exact same script that all of LSU's games went last year. The Missouri game, Mississippi State game, even the Florida and Ole Miss games to a certain extent. Decent start, chaotic second quarter, bad third quarter, bad early fourth quarter, and the game was out of reach. A lot of LSU games went like that last year. And that's probably a coaching thing. It's probably a coaching thing. But LSU probably should have gone for it on 4th down. On 4th and 2, kicking field goal to go from 24-17 to 24-20 is probably not the right decision. It's probably not. Also, I actually did look at the analytics on this. So 4th Down Bot, a new account on Twitter, okay? It's by the same analytics group that I trust for a lot of my analytics. When you're down by 11 and it's 4th and 5 in the 4th quarter, and on the play prior, you would have gotten a 1st down if Coy Moore would have just held on to the ball. Once again, drops were kind of an issue for him last year as well. If you go for it there, you can get it and still be in the game. Instead, you punted down by 11 in the 4th quarter. I wish I could be shocked by a bad punting decision by Ed Orgeron, but this is the norm for him. Dig out. What's good, man? Yeah, Plum, I know you were at the game. I just don't think this would have been a bad. I just don't think this would have been a good setting for Nuss. Cunningham Fitness, welcome to the channel, man. If this is your first time, Cunningham Fitness, welcome. Hope you come by our live streams Tuesdays and Saturdays. By the way, if you want to support the channel, you can get yourself a Bug the Dog band in honor of our late dog, Bug the Dog. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20. We also have Power Hour LSU shirts. Want to shout that out an hour in? You could be like JJ, who has bands and a shirt. King Ulysses has a shirt. Dante Kirkland was hurt. This was also bad as well from Fantastic. Okay? You go for 2 there every time when you're down by 11. Okay? Or when you're down by 12, you need to go for 2 there. Okay? There you go, Cody. You know where to go. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20. Venmo or Cash App is preferred. Also, you get an LSU card with your order. Let me see. I actually don't have any of my LSU cards out. I do have a Chase Claypool card here, but you'll get an LSU card with the order. I think it was injury for John Trey. But Cunningham, I'll answer your question. I always answer first-timers' questions. Everyone welcome Cunningham Fitness. Everyone welcome all our new viewers here tonight. Let me know if you're a new viewer. Please comment. Cunningham is, luckily enough, you have a built-in win, so you don't have anything to worry about too much. But one adjustment I would like to see is a Titan wide receiver rotation. Yeah, Logan, I don't want to focus too much on John Emery other than he's just been a gigantic disappointment. You can't rely on him. Even when he was healthy, you couldn't rely on him. Chef Leandria, professional chef. Carter, did you notice offensive coordinator wouldn't change up the snap count? That was an issue in 2019 as well, especially in the Alabama game to a certain extent. But it didn't matter. Those guys could go. The other team could have known the plays, and LSU still wouldn't have been stopped. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good observation. Yeah, King Ulysses, I can easily see this happening. That would be a very Chip Kelly-esque kind of move. Everyone welcome Chris to the channel. He was a big help. He is the UCLA film guru who helped me out a bunch this week. And he actually watches a lot of film. Good game, Tigers. First game with 2 new coordinators. I wouldn't overreact. A lot of UCLA fans are saying don't overreact. I'd slightly disagree because of some of the issues from last year. But in that aspect, it's kind of hard to put a lot of the blame on Jake Peets and Durante Jones. It really is. It really, really is. New viewer from UCLA. Welcome, Benny. By the way, our biggest donation tonight was from Howie, who's an LSU fan, and Mr. OC. So for those that see the $299 super chat right there, that was from a UCLA viewer. I thought Bug Strong was a thumper. He had a few good hits tonight, but he is not a coverage linebacker, and that was my biggest concern with him coming in. Did anyone think it was kind of weird to try to not do any running back screens? I felt like it would have been pretty effective against their aggressive pass rush. Blake, strong disagreement here. So LSU tried a screen there with Cole Taylor, or kind of one of these slip passes to Cole Taylor, and it was picked off. Last week, Hawaii's screens to their running backs were bad negative plays. Their tight end screen was also a pick six. Screens are really tough against a front that's really fast because they retrace their steps really quickly. So these aren't big 290-pounders chasing the running backs down. These are athletes that are as fast, if not faster. Also, LSU's running backs, how special are they with the ball in their hands? I don't think either one of them that played tonight, TDP or John Emery or TDP or Williams, I don't think either one of them I don't think either one of them are special enough to risk running a screen. It looks like it would be a smart play, but part of it is because UCLA's blitzes come from so far away that they're able to read it and redirect as well, which is something I'd like to see LSU's defense do a lot more of. Once again, pre-snap, they are far too static. LSU's defense is so easy to figure out what they're going to potentially do pre and post snap. I think wide receiver screens would have been better, though. They should have just kept running quick outs, but I would have targeted someone else other than Trey Palmer. And Max did, and this was something I noticed as well. He kept backing up a little too much. Logan, yeah, I'm worried that Kirk Herbstreit was right on game day this morning. You said the same game after losing the first game last season. That would be our problem again with the loss. Yeah, you should be a little worried. A little. Why did it take so long to call plays? This is a good question here from Rotator C. I actually like the LSU's approach to this. So, why did it take so long to call plays? The reason why I like the LSU's approach to this is because, number one, their offensive line was really thin. So if you go really fast, well, number one, that speeds up the calls that the offensive line has to make. And number two, if they're really thin and they have a lot of injuries, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. I saw some Arkansas, Mississippi State had rough games today because they were going a little too fast early. And eventually they slowed things down and were able to win the game. Mississippi State, not so much. I was kind of lucky. But still. And once again, here's Chris. Those sideline checks are useful if you can make the right adjustment, but they bring the flow to a grinding halt. Yeah, and I also think part of it was, and I think that helped with LSU's blitz pickup just a little bit tonight. Yeah, no one could tackle. No one could tackle. Yeah, Antonio, I thought I would see a little more pre-snap motion. and a little more jet looks to stretch him out a little bit. Let's see. UCLA throws a lot of trash at you. You got to give a lot of credit. Once again, the best coach in this game. You can argue it was Chip Kelly, but honestly, Norwood's really good. Brian Norwood, their secondary coach, really, really good coach. He's got a son in the NFL. His football savvy is off the charts. He does a really good job coaching up that group. Notice their only explosive passing play they gave up was thanks to an umpire screen. Joe, welcome. Bo's defense back in his heyday, blitzers and great man behind, or was that more Saban? That was a little bit of both. I also think Saban's done a good job with this defense. He's done a really good job recruiting edge guys. I think Will Anderson really makes that defense special. I really do. So, yeah. Sutton, welcome to the channel and welcome to the chat. The most demoralizing thing is how many problems there are with this team from the top down. Hard to even know where to start. Yeah, I don't know. I do think, and I understand this can be a sore subject for some people, okay? But let's bring back the Joe Burrow guy into this conversation, okay? He had a near 95 QBR in every game that he played, okay? So why would I bring that up? Well, your QBR, what QBR measures is a replacement level quarterback, okay? So how good are you compared to a replacement level quarterback? That is what that stat measures. It not only measures your performance, but it takes into account everything around you. And having a 95 QBR in every game means that your quarterback, the most important person in the game, is playing at such an extremely high level that it doesn't matter what's around him. It doesn't matter what your defense is doing. And when that happens, it also lessens the blow of some of the coaching that goes into each and every one of these games. So what does all of that mean? You're just making a bunch of gibberish up. Well, no. It does bring into a very important question here, right? How much was Joe Burrow just covering up some holes that might have already been there? And I think some of those questions do need to be asked. You put 27 points, you can't give up 40 to anybody and expect to win. Yeah. Yeah, EB, we have a lot of LSU Bamers in here. Yeah, I thought listen, I thought the adjustments on offense weren't the best, yet they also weren't the worst. No, he's not an Alabama fan. He is an LSU fan that lives in Bama, which there are a lot of that watch this channel. I would expect a lot of blitzes here. One team saw how well it worked against us on film. I thought we could counter that one halftime adjustment. I was wrong. Max took a beating. Yeah. How do you want Joe Brady back? No bootlegs, but no RPOs. A killer. Max was a sitting duck. Yeah, that was an issue as well. I think LSU's going to have to get a little more creative running. Also, this is kind of sad, but Hawaii actually got some movement up the middle versus UCLA with their offensive line. So it is doable. It is very doable. But yeah. I'm a little shocked Mike Jones didn't play more. Or didn't play at all, really. I do agree with this. Max is still, this is his third start? I mean, I'm trying to go back to see how many throws did he make were just like special throws. I thought he had a few tonight. Honestly, though, how long does Ed have to turn it around? Good question, Nathan. Welcome to the channel. It is a good question. This is my issue, okay? The honest issue with this. I don't mind losing. I honestly don't. You know, teams are good. UCLA is very experienced. That was a very experienced quarterback and a very experienced coach, okay? I don't mind losing, all right? But when you walk into a stadium and you're talking trash to the opposing fans, okay, and you jump on, midfield in Alabama, or you talk some talk. When you talk a big game, you've got to be a difference maker, okay? I don't mind my coach having bite. I don't mind my coach having a confidence. I don't mind my coach being himself. I love Ed Orgeron for always being himself, okay? With that said, you've got to back it up, right? Notice when you won the championship, you were given a big raise, right? With that big raise, you yourself have got to elevate, right? They're giving you the raise because, not because of what you just did, they're giving you the raise to see what you could potentially do after that. And we haven't really seen a whole lot. Once again, you go back through 2020, and so many people say 2020 was a throwaway year. I got sick of that. I really did. And part of the reason why I got sick of that was the Mississippi State game was very winnable. The Missouri game was very winnable. Okay. Just needed to make a few more changes. This doesn't make any sense. So Captain Kenneth is a student. How does a player have academic issues with only 1 week of classes? You don't even have any assignments due yet. All you can possibly do is get dropped from a lab for not showing up. And to think that doesn't make any sense, Captain, is LSU's players were traveling this week. I don't know. Part of it is a lack of recruiting in the trenches. We don't win the trench battle. This is all to blame on the O-line and D-line recruiting. D-line is mainly because of the change. D from the Ville, what's good, man? Hey, he's going to be in Nashville in a few weeks. Scarlett, I was wondering when you drop in. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, that was probably it. It was probably some summer school related thing. I don't know. Rogers, like a true LSU fan, he took this one hard. I'm going to be up all night, so might as well. Jay Ward got hurt early in the game, and you could tell. You could tell he was in a lot of pain. He tried to force through it. He just got hit really hard. Jeffrey, this is a good question. Once again, if you want to get a question in, Venmo, Cash App, Super Chat, it helps pay the bills. But Jeffrey, you're a newbie, so I'm going to get to your question. D-line played okay. What do you think about our linebackers? They didn't live up to the billing. Yeah, true. But I also think LSU doesn't have special linebackers. But I also think they are being asked to do a lot. And I think the way the LSU defense is formatted is a little archaic. So here's what I mean by that. If it's easy to see what the entire defense is going to do pre-snap, okay? If it's easy to see that, then it becomes a lot harder for linebackers to do their jobs, okay? So, for instance, UCLA's defense, if you go back and watch their defense, I want you to ask a question, and this is something we did this week on film studies. I know a lot of you are new to the channel, so welcome. Please subscribe. Please like this video. Let's see. We are at 88 likes, 4 dislikes. That's fine. A dislike works as well. What I want you to do, if you go back to rewatch the UCLA game, pause the screen before the play even begins and try and guess where the players are going. Okay? Try and guess which players are blitzing. Try and guess which players are dropping into coverage. Try and guess which player is rolling into cover 2, cover 3. Just give it your best guess. And then do the same thing with the LSU defense, and you'll notice that it is easier to try and guess what they're going to do. Now, imagine you sitting at home seeing that, but imagine the quarterbacks. I think there is a little bit of overreaction to this. He's fine. I don't think he quit. I think part of it was a little bit, not necessarily of quitting, but a little bit of, oh my God, this is just inevitable. I went through this all last year. So we'll see. Part of it is this as well. All the O-line returning last year didn't make it better. They were still the same trash offensive line from this year. Roger, thank you for your very generous Venmo, my friend. You get to pick the question. So I always go to people that really know football, way more than any of us do. Okay, so there was a guy who coached at Oklahoma, and his name's Bob Stoops. Okay, one of the greatest college football coaches of the modern era. Okay. He's up there, right? He's probably top 5, top 10 in the last decade or so. So Bob Stoops said something in an interview recently about players that are returning. Okay? Now think about this. Bob Stoops is a traditionalist coach. He has a safe job as an analyst, and he doesn't have to criticize anybody. But they asked him a question about I think it was Colin Cowherd who asked him a question about Minnesota. And Bob Stoops said Minnesota's run defense was bad last year. They returned everybody on their run defense, and they're all juniors and seniors. And he said it wasn't a good thing because he said sometimes if you have a bad thing and you return everybody from that bad thing, sometimes they're not going to get better. Okay? And what I think part of the issue is LSU returned a lot of guys that aren't difference makers, okay? They just aren't. And LSU returned a lot of offensive linemen that just aren't difference makers, okay? Ed Ingram's a good story. Not really a difference maker. Liam Shanahan, great story. Transfer from Harvard. Puts in all the work. There's none of those guys are really difference makers. And that's fine. Not everybody can be a difference maker. Not many people are really special. They're just not, okay? You can be very good, okay? You could be very good. That offensive line for LSU can get better. They can. But part of the reason why all of them returned is because they weren't good enough to go to the NFL, okay? So, it is what it is. Can UCLA beat Oregon? I don't know. It depends on Kayvon Thibodeau. Is that Kayvon? It's Kayvon Thibodeau. He's a beast. Grant, this is my classmate here. Grant, man. Carter, I hope all is well. Thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate you, classmate. Mo Funky. I can't message you on Twitter anymore, man. How did Cam Wire do? Well, he got hurt. I don't know. Here's the thing, okay? And I understand that there's a lot of fire at Orgeron people here, okay? Yeah, Mo Funky, shoot me a message on Twitter, see if it works. Actually, I agree with this. I thought he did play well enough to win. I did. He wasn't great, but I think he did play well enough to win. Let's see here. DTR 9 of 15 for 260 and 3 TDs, but he did nothing this game. Stopped the cap. He really didn't do anything special. Now, he was decent, but how many throws were not wide open throws? Now, he had to make the throws. No cap, okay? He had to make the throws. He also had to not make game-changing mistakes. And everything I said about DTR in my film study this week happened in this game. He's a decent dual-threat quarterback, but not a special athlete. He's not a special thrower. He doesn't have special receivers. But he is really good under pressure. He makes some really good throwaways. He makes some really good decisions, and he's going to make the throw that's there. So he didn't really make any spectacular throws this game. He really didn't. He hit a few tight ends on some crossers. That's not me being sour. LSU did not make him make any special throws this game. Now, once again, he still needed to sit in there. And if UCLA's backup quarterback would have played, LSU probably would have won. So I'm not saying that he was bad. But yeah, you know, I'm not really hating. I'm just giving you my honest thought. He certainly played well enough to win. It's just his first touchdown was a 75-yard bomb to a wide open tight end. Okay. Now he did hit him in stride. The open throws, he did hit the guys in stride. Don't get it twisted. It's just LSU should have done a better job making him make tougher throws. Okay. And Billy Bob, that's basically it. First play of the final 4-minute drill, UCLA ran a naked boot, DTR cocked a deep throw. Yeah. So once again, Chris, I defer to him. I think we can all agree, though, that there wasn't – LSU should have done a better job making him more uncomfortable. So, yes, he did play good. But this wasn't a scenario where let's see, what's a good example of this? Can't think of anything off the top of my head. But it wasn't a scenario where, like, he just outdueled the LSU defense, if you get what I'm saying. It wasn't a superhuman performance, but it was good. It was good. Can we still make it to a natty? Yes, LSU still can, but will they? I would not put a futures bet. Good question here. What's up, Brain? Obviously, this is key from Coach. Baby blue nightmares. LJ, I better see you in Tiger Stadium next week, my guy. Yeah, talent development does come into this. It needs to get better. Everything just needs to get better, right? Sean, is this your first time? Let me know if this is your first time, man. Joe, disagreement here. I just don't think this would have been a Nuss game. It wasn't a Nuss game. Good night, Planet Low. It is really late. 1 a.m. over here, but I just took a 5 hour, so I'm happy to keep going. Let's see here. A lot of my messages tonight say at least we have 2019. Max did everything he possibly could besides an overthrown pick and a missed flat round on 3rd and 5. I thought I would give Max. I would give Max's performance a solid 6.5 out of 10. No running game, heavy rotation at wide receiver. I thought the Cole Taylor screen made no sense to me, right? It's a timing play to a 3-star second-year player in a game where last week the team intercepted a tight end screen for a touchdown. It really was a bad play call there by Jake. I don't know if it was Jake. I don't know if it was Mangus. I don't know who actually made that call. It was a really bad call. That was a really bad play call. That was the only just awful play call I saw from Jake. So yeah, I give Max a solid 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, somewhere around there. So yeah. Max doesn't run as much as he should. So I'll answer this one, Big Joe. Now, I said this on every media appearance I made last week and throughout the week. The reason why he didn't scramble more is I did think there were a few times where he probably should have taken off and run. But when you can't run on a light front, and these guys are allowed to tee off, and your wide receivers aren't separating like they should. I thought separation was a little tough at times for LSU's receivers. What happens is when you have a light front and those guys are all 220 and they run like defensive backs, they're going to chase you down. And part of it is Max himself is not a special runner. I thought overall he was fine, though. Why are you talking about our offense so much? It's our defense. So let's take a look at the numbers once again. Total yards, UCLA had over 100 more total yards. Rush yards, UCLA 215, LSU's 48. Pass yards, 260 for UCLA, 330 for LSU. LSU had more first downs than UCLA. LSU had 2 fewer penalties than UCLA. LSU ran 7 more plays than UCLA. But this is the issue. UCLA averaged 7.4 yards per play. Okay? So, you look at Dave Aranda's defense, all right? And yards per play is probably a better metric as far as studying defenses are concerned. 7 yards per play is bad. 7.4 is really bad. Okay? In the last 41 games of the Dave Aranda era, LSU gave up 7 yards per play only 3 times. Okay? In the Durante Jones and Bo Pelini era, LSU has now given up 7 yards per play in 8 out of the 11 games that they've played. Okay? UCLA averaged 28.9 yards per completion. They averaged 4.5 yards per rush. Time of possession was 30 on the dot even. That's kind of weird. So, yeah. It's bad defense. Yeah, that's all there is to it. You can't give up 7 yards per play and expect to win. And I understand Ed Orgeron's not the coordinator, but he's a defensive coach. I wish I could say I was shocked. I really wish I could say I was shocked. I wish I could, but I'm not. I wasn't. LSU is a bad halftime team. For whatever reason, especially on the road, they're a bad defensive team and a bad halftime team. Okay? And I understand their 2 best defensive performances last year came on the road, but they're still not good on the road. 2019 defense. The only 4 or 5 times LSU gave up 6 yards per play were all away from Tiger Stadium. Okay? And they all came against mobile quarterbacks. And by the way, in LSU's next 8 games, 7 of them will come against mobile quarterbacks. A super chat. Thank you, Sean. I saw a lot of Coach O out. Let's say this does happen. Who should we even look to bring in? Also, would you look to start Miles when healthy? Let's start with question number 2 with Sean. That's 50-50 there. I could see the bonuses of starting Miles if he's healthy. I did think the ball floated a little on Max on some of these 50-50 throws. But I think until Max lays a stinker, he's yet to lay a stinker in a game. So yeah, Max isn't going to lose you a lot of games, even though he had the stupid throw from behind his head. And his one interception came on a bad play call. So yeah, I'd roll with Max for now. Let's say that does happen. Who should we even look to bring in? I don't want to speculate on coaches right now. Once again, I am, this was a bad coaching game tonight. And the thing about games is you don't have many of them. And you got to have your coach to be better. Ed has got to be better. And I love Joe Burrow. And I love Ed Orgeron, okay? Ed's got to be better, though. He just simply does. Unpopular opinion, everyone on defense played great tonight except the linebackers. They lost us the game. Obviously, there were some bad plays, but that will happen. Overall, good job on defense. But the linebackers suck. They're not great. But what I would say to that, though, is why are they so bad? Okay? Well, what is something about the linebackers that we know? Well, they normally have good first quarters, right? The LSU defense has had good first quarters. It's the second and third where they start to get exposed. And answered this question as well. How many times do UCLA's linebackers make mistakes today? Not many. But take a look at where UCLA's linebackers lined up compared to where LSU's linebackers lined up. So that's very important. I thought LSU's linebackers and safeties had a really rough game. I did. Let's go to Steven with the super chat. Thank you so much. We have no less talent today than we had at any point under Les Miles, and he did better. I don't want to look back at Les. And part of it also is, Les isn't going to even be the coach. I don't know. Do you want to bring Les back, or are you just trying to make a point about Orgeron? And your point is valid. Both of them have some in-game coaching issues, and they're very, very, very obvious. And I understand that it's hard for some people to talk about it because, we all love Ed Orgeron. He's a Louisiana native. He provided us the greatest moment of our LSU fandoms. He's a good dude all around. He's a great Louisianian, and that's great, okay? But he also gets paid a lot of money to do a very difficult job, and quite frankly, right now, he's not doing a good job of it. And that's all there is to it. It's not anything personal here for me, right? But a lot of you deserve better. You spend money on this team. And if you don't spend money on this team, you're spending precious time on this team. You buy the shirts, you buy the merch, you read the message boards, you watch my stupid face talk about LSU football. So the bottom line is you deserve better. Logan, thank you for your super chat. Let me get to your super chat here. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. I love the professional headshot with the night line back there. What is that? Is that Nashville in the background? Let me get Logan's question here. Where's Dwight McGlothern tonight? He's been banged up a lot, Logan. He really has. So health has been an issue for him, which kind of sucked because he was healthy for the spring. LSU has had an obscene amount of injuries. Obscene. Ulysses Yeah. Orgeron had the Chiswick comparisons, and the hardest thing sometimes is to admit when you're wrong. And I know a lot of us LSU fans heard that from naysayers, and they said, well, this is just another Gene Chiswick situation. And we defended Orgeron. Kind of hard to defend him now because it looks like that statement has some truth to it. The backup center is getting snaps at left tackle. Feels like a red flag. Am I wrong? Yeah, it's a red flag. It's a big red flag. Once again, whether or not Dare Rosenthal wants to hear it, he probably feels a little better now that he's at Kentucky, knowing how the season has started. Dare Rosenthal put everyone in a bad spot. And I understand the rules are stupid, whatever. He let this entire team down going to Kentucky for whatever reason, okay? Won't get into it too much, but that's a big reason why this depth, which was already thin to begin with, part of why I wasn't in love with LSU going into this game was the offensive line. They just were – and the part of the issue tonight, though, and this was a big issue, was – the LSU offensive line was so poor last year. A lot of it was because Chase and Hines made so many just really bad errors. Well, tonight it was Chase and Hines didn't make really any bad errors. It was just mediocre. It was just mediocrity. And Lavi, I just couldn't. I simply could. I tried to. And I did give him a little bit of a pass because of that, right? And it was very easy to put all the blame on Bo Pelini. But yeah, when I saw that the score was at what it was at halftime, I was like, oh, God, we're in a lot of trouble. Let's see, Logan here. Transfers had a huge positive impact on college football and LSU, but they're also negatives because players can just quit and go to another team on a dime, which is part of the reason why you need to keep slots open in the transfer portal. Jared, you've been with me for a good little bit, man, with your dead deer. I am no expert. I'm not either. I don't know all kinds of plays and stuff, but I've watched a lot of football in my life, and LSU was lost. They did look lost tonight. They looked lost. Let's go to Blake, man. Blake, this is a good question. Obviously, there was a lot of negatives tonight, but what are some of the positives that we can build off moving forward? Well, let's start with the two number ones, okay? Eli Ricks and Kayshon Boutte both had incredible games. Of course, Kayshon dropped the touchdown. It was a tough catch, right? But those young men are really good. Also, the true freshmen are really good. Mason had a really good start to the game. I'm shocked he didn't play a little more. Jack Besh had a good game overall. Kind of shocked he didn't play a little bit more. And Brian Thomas Jr. So true freshman had a good game. I would sit Hilton. I would sit a few of the other wide receivers. I think that would be a positive for everyone moving forward, is tightening that wide receiver rotation. Also, something else, another positive If there was a positive for the offensive line, it was the pass protection. Once again, I'd have to rewatch the game. While it wasn't great, it also wasn't bad. The blitz pickup wasn't the absolute worst. They still couldn't run block. And overall, it still wasn't that great. And I thought Max missed some throws. He was not overall good, though. It was fine. Defensively, it's hard. When you give up 7.4 yards per play, I also think LSU's a little hamstrung defensively. I just don't think you can run four-man fronts all game. I just don't think so. And the funny thing is UCLA runs a four-man front. I just think you have to mix some things up. I think one positive from this game is understanding that what you do defensively is something you simply cannot do for the entire game. You have to give people different looks. Les Miles was a POS. That statement was a testament to Coach O. You're talking about all the things I think with are being defended on other judges whom are blaming the players. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not blaming. Obviously, a lot of this is on the players. A lot of this is on the coaches. It's not really anybody's one fault. It's just overall, this was a mess. This was just a big mess. But I do agree with your statement, Stephen, as far as the coaching needs to get better. The coaching does need to get better. Okay. Debo, RIP. We could have a four-man front with good players. True. So yeah. This is a funny one. I don't know how much the game changes. Charbonnet was a difference maker. He really was. Let's see. Steven, let me know if I answered your super chat. Okay. Yeah, and they started doing that, Logan. I think part of the issue, though, was the heavy wide receiver rotation. Also, when you throw hot, you need a wide receiver to break off one of those tackles. Trey Palmer just could never break off any of those tackles. And for whatever reason, I just don't think Trey and Max have chemistry. And that kind of goes back to last year, where they would connect on some throws, and then on some other throws, it would just be a little clunky. They played a little bit more together than I initially thought, and they just don't have much chemistry. They just don't. And yeah. Coach O did a brief one, Rogue. I went to look up some quotes. It didn't look like there was much at all. Yeah, there wasn't many quotes at all. So that's obviously not good. And I actually agree with JJ here. in this high level of football, your coaching staff must stay one step ahead. And if we get behind, we have to have a plan to regain the edge. When we get behind, we seem to stay behind as of late. Let's be honest. I just don't think any of you feel comfortable with the way things are going right now, right? I just don't think any of you do. I'm being honest. I don't think there's a single one of you that feels we are trending in the right direction, right? Do we lack some talent? Yes, we do lack some talent. But here's the issue, okay? And I also think something that would do Ed Orgeron some good is if he was asked about this, right? Now, once again, I didn't get to see the press availability because I'm obviously on this live stream. But yes, LSU was beat at the point of attack, and it's a big reason why they lost this game tonight. But I would follow up and say this. I would like people to ask Ed Orgeron this question. Why do you punt so much? Why would you punt on 4th and 5 down 11? Also, your third quarters have been really bad at LSU. Why? What do you think that case is? Why can't you make halftime adjustments? Why, when the first big touchdown, we're up 7-0, the last thing we want to do is give up a 75-yard touchdown? Why is it that the tight end scores a 75-yard touchdown? Okay, he made a play. We missed a tackle, so be it. Why did that same thing keep happening? Why? That blows my mind. Why did that keep happening? Why is it that it's okay if you lose to Alabama, they're great, okay? Texas A&M had a decent team last year. It's okay you lost to them. But why is it that Mississippi State kept doing the same thing over and over, and Missouri kept doing the same thing over and over, and our third quarters are consistently bad? You got to ask these questions, right? Because I understand there's a lot of big Ed Orgeron fans here. I'm starting to become more skeptical by the day, right? Because ultimately, that guy's making $7 million a year to figure these things out, and they keep happening. Why are we playing man against a QB who has accuracy issues, play zone, and put them to the test? Exactly. So PJ says it's a lack of talent. We'll see. Yeah, Johnny, only one penalty. That's kind of crazy. Brad Johnson, what's up? I had LSU winning in a close game. Like a lot of people did. Okay, I missed my prediction. You don't go 15-0 one year and forget how to coach the next. That's true, PJ, but this is the year after that 15-0 season, right? Who all played safety tonight? So we started off with Jay Ward and Major Burns. Jay Ward got banged up, got ran over by Charbonnet, and then we were forced to go Major Burns, Jordan Tolles, Todd Harris. No real official word on Sage Ryan. No official word on Matthew Langlois. I don't know. I don't know. All the talents in the NFL. All right. So that's great. So now that those guys are there, we need to do what now? Wait, we don't have any guys on our team that aren't going to go to the NFL? What's up, Derek? Yeah, King Ulysses. I don't know. I'm not at practice. I'm not at the meeting rooms. But and here's another issue with the lack of adjustments is LSU actually spent more money. They spent more money on coaches. They spent more resources on coaches. They bought out a defensive coordinator, paid a new one. I don't know what's going to happen with James Craig's contract, but they still paid a guy, bought out another one, and paid a new guy to come over. They bought out a passing game coordinator, had to pay a new OC and a new passing game coordinator. They also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars more on new analysts and new recruiting coordinators, general managers. They also have LSU has one of the largest pool of consultants that are on the staff right now, and the same things are still happening, right? So yeah, it could just be a talent thing. It could just be that we don't have good enough guys. Okay, and that's part of it. Part of it is the lack of talent. You know, that's part of it. I no, there's no real mover on the offensive line. There is a lack of foot speed at safety. We had a slot receiver that had the best rookie season in NFL history. You know, it could just be talent. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's nothing to do with the coaches. I might be wrong on that. I don't have all the answers. I've been wrong about a lot of stuff. So here's V Law. We recruit on par with Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State, but we aren't near their level. That is all coaching. We have more than enough talent. Yeah. 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 So PJ, I get what you're saying. Patrick Queen is gone. Clyde is gone. I totally get that. But that's why you give a raise to the coach to then fix those things, right? Okay. Nick Saban lost Derrick Henry, and he's had far better teams since Derrick Henry left, and he is still a top 5 back in the NFL. Ohio State lost Ezekiel Elliott. Ohio State lost Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, whoever. They're still competing at a high level. Okay. They didn't fall off a cliff. So, yeah. Cool, Taylor. Shout out to the 870. Yeah, maybe that's it, Emma Cat. Maybe that's it. Yeah, send me what you know, Chris, from your view, and please DM me, because obviously my live stream's gone late. I'm gonna have to go to bed after this. But yeah, DM me on Twitter, please, Chris, because you're a far better film guy than I am. Let's see. I agree, fantastic with that. Let's see here. Yeah, Chris, I'm going to look at all this. Probably going to be up all night. My girlfriend's going to hate me. This is true. And I understand we don't recruit at Bama's level. I'm not asking to put a chalk outline of the team like Bama did today versus Miami. I'm not asking to put caution tape around the Rose Bowl and murder a very experienced UCLA team. It's just schematically. Look, these coordinators are so freaking good now. They're so good that they're going to change what they're going to do during the course of a game. That's the thing, Rain. And you and I never agree on anything, Rain. You and I never agree on anything, but we're in full agreement here. Okay? I agree, Derek. It is time to make a few questions. And UCLA is a far better team than Miami, right? They are far better. It's just, I still think LSU should have won this game, especially considering you jumped out to a 7-0 lead, right? Hey, Julie, bring Dabo to the LSU program and watch what he does. Talk about give Saban fits. Yeah, but I mean, how many Dabos are out there? And I don't know if I don't think Dabo would fit LSU really all that well. It's kind of hard because Clemson is Dabo's program, right? If he comes to LSU, he's just another coach. Now, if he wins a lot, obviously he's more than that. But, you know, we're not going to get a Dabo. I think you need to get someone a little more reasonable. Chuck, please do not curse in the chat, please. Yeah, I don't think Dabo is there. I don't care, man. We got to rebuild this, man. I'm counting at least 5 to 6 more losses. I still think like 9-4 is still reasonable, right? You just got to have some lucky breaks go your way, and you got to be better at halftime. Well, Teddy, the first question here is the first answer is Bama does have better players. So let's start with that. They recruit better than LSU. Not by a mile, but they still do. But honestly, it's Saban. And as much as people want to say it, trust me, I'm not a Saban fanatic. I'm not a fan of him, but he's the best to ever do it. And there's a reason. It's the certainty that he beat Miami with today. It was beyond reasonable doubt, the beatdown of Miami, right? He puts things without reasonable doubt. There's a reason why the sharpest minds in Vegas had Alabama's over-under. By the way, Alabama's over-under is at 11.5. That means Vegas is projecting them to go undefeated, basically. When they lost a quarterback who's starting in the NFL, 2 first-round wide receivers, a first-round running back, first-round offensive lineman, first-rounders on defense, and they were still projected at 11.5. Coaching. It's coaching. And he hired the worst coach in the NFL to be his offensive coordinator. The worst. Bill O'Brien was the worst coach in the league last year. I'm not going to lie. I put a pretty large sum of money on the Texans under last year because Bill O'Brien was that bad. Didn't miss a beat. And worst GM, right? Hugh Freeze would be disastrous, Scarlett. And you know you're one of my favorite viewers, Scarlett. Hugh Freeze would not fit in well. LSU is Cougar Central. I do not trust Hugh Freeze in Baton Rouge. Either way, I look forward to watching some good CFB this year and celebrating or complaining with the PH live chat with the fellas. Sleep well, the fellas and the ladies. Sleep well if you can, Tiger fans. Have a good one. See you on the next one. JJ, we'll see you on Tuesday night, man. We definitely got to link up. Haley and I want to link up with all our Shreveport viewers. I know, Johnny. Bruins are a really good football team. Hey, you know I'm going to say that. A UCLA fan dropped the biggest super chat of the night, so I'm all about it. Oh, man. Let's see. Are we up to 1,000 votes? No, we're up to 682. Out dead boot. I like Corey Raymond a lot. I also like your profile photo, the purple bandana, man. I like it. Corey Raymond's never called a play before on defense. So I think he would have gotten some play calling duties last year if he wanted to. That's just not his thing. I think part of it's also on him too. I mean, when does he step in and say, look, we need to do some different things? I'm just saying. I just think there's better options out there if you start throwing Hugh Freeze's name out there. Obviously, he's really talented. He can also beat Bama. Well, he can score on Bama. But yes, Joe Brady is not the answer at head coach. Joe Brady is not the answer. Missing wide open receivers and only 3 rushing yards at the half. Yeah, that's an issue. It's an issue. I know for certain, like the Will Blackwells of the world are really struggling to watch that. It kind of sucks because Andrew Whitworth was in the crowd tonight, that arguably the greatest LSU offensive lineman of all time. And to do that was not good. Once again, Teddy, I'm not getting into candidates right now. I'm just not. But yeah, I understand some of you want to get into Coach O's personal life. Yeah, I always defend a man's personal life. I'm always about football. I did think the comment to a fan in the top row of the bleacher, sissy blue shirt. It's just not a good look. It's just not a good look. But yeah, personal life does play a role into it. Ed Orgeron's been through a lot. But I'm an LSU fan. Deep down in my heart, I love Ed Orgeron. I really do. But I love this program a lot too. And I'm always going to look out for what's best for this football team, because that's what you guys want. You want a winning football team. So yeah, it's not the sissy blue shirt comment. It's not something that like I'll lose sleep over. It's just it's the main point is if we're still having some between the headset issues, I mean, they've got to get fixed. They've got to get fixed. Once again, let me just say this full disclosure. I know a bunch of you are jumping into the chat now. And I understand like the first question that people want is who should we replace if Ed Orgeron's gone? I'm not going to answer that. Not because, you shouldn't be thinking about it. I understand Scott Woodward, that's in the back of his mind. Every athletic director wants to hire a football coach, right? Every single one of them. But I'm not going to answer it because I want to focus on this team, and I feel like it's unfair to the guys in the locker room to discuss something like that won't fix anything for right now, right? So I'm more concerned about figuring out what's wrong right now to salvage what we have right now. But it is a good question, Olivia. And welcome to the chat. Welcome. They're both bad. The Mississippi State game's really bad. I feel like that game was a little more winnable. I really do. And I think this UCLA team is better than that. And I also think, though, on the other side of it, LSU is a better team than what they were last year. Yeah, Maquette, that was the issue. It seemed like this was a game plan that could have been figured out, right? Mike Jones did not play any snaps on defense. I do not believe so. Steven, I want to bring this up. Okay. Part of the reason why it was kind of tough for me to do LSU preview pieces was I saw a lot of people I trust starting to take the under on the LSU win total. So Colin at the Action Network took the under. Clark at SEC StatCat. Those are two guys I respect a lot. And I'm friends with Clark. Let me see. Which other sharps took the under on LSU. It's so late. I'm forgetting. There's quite a few. And their under was one of the more favorable numbers. It was at 8.5, right? So yeah, I felt that was an issue. Let's see. Walker Howard going to decommit if we have a losing season? No, heavens no. I don't think Walker Howard's going anywhere. His dad was an LSU player. You could tell it means a lot to him. And there's some other deeper meanings that Walker Howard's talked about. I think he's locked in. Same thing with Will Campbell, Emery Jones. I think a lot of those guys are pretty locked in. Eric, that's a good question. That's why I didn't do a season preview piece. I honestly didn't want to, because I think a lot of you were hearing in my analysis some real skepticism going into this season. And part of it is you can't win a lot of games when your offensive line can't move people. Okay? Now, you can win a lot if you have a really, really, really special quarterback and a really, really, really special coach. Okay? LSU has neither of those. All right? You cannot overcome mediocre offensive line play and win a lot of games. Another reason, and I got a lot of angry messages from fans saying, we know you're an Orgeron hater and you did all these film studies on UCLA and we're going to go out there and kill them. And I just did not feel that way all this week. I just did not feel this way. I tweeted out a bunch of times. I was nervous about going into this game, and everything that I feared was going to happen happened. Teddy, I wouldn't focus on John Emery right now. The story of John Emery's career, right? Whatever the academic issue was, let's get to a super chat here. But really quickly on John Emery, he let the team down, right? And the story of John Emery was all of his best moments in games have come in easy situations. His best games were against Utah State in a blowout, Vanderbilt in a blowout, and in garbage time. So when the going gets tough, when we need you in crunch time, you can't trust John Emery. When we need you in pass protection, can't trust him. Week of the game, academic pull. When we really need you, when our running backs and our running game can't get going. So it's time to kind of give up on the John Emery thing. The funny thing is I actually tweeted out, hey, this could be John Emery season, because there was a really fascinating analytical study that showed running backs really do matter in college football, way more than they do in the NFL. And high-level five-star commits hit at an extremely high clip. John Emery is going to be one of the few five-star colossal bust at LSU. Now we go to V-Law here. I think we get better as these coordinators get broken in. It was our very first game calling plays. So this is a good question from Law V. First thing, I thought Jake Peetz was okay tonight. Once again, if you watch the Hawaii film, you had to feel good about getting something going in the running game. It just didn't get going. You don't have any juice at running back. You don't have any juice on the offensive line. I thought Max Johnson would have done the running game good if he would have pulled it a few times and took it himself. I thought zone read was just not really done that much. I would have done a little bit more of that. Also, I'll repeat it again. Jake only had one bad play call, which was the interception. That's not really on Max or Cole Taylor. It's just it's kind of on both of them. It's just not a good play call. Those kind of plays just don't work against UCLA's front. I thought Jake was okay. Wide receiver rotation needs work. Durante is a little bit tougher, right? So LSU last year was really good in first quarters. Okay. They had one bad first quarter. So the Auburn game, even though they were blown out, they had a good first quarter, right? The Florida game, they had a good first quarter. So tonight, or last night now, LSU had another good first quarter, right? Second quarter got bad. Third quarter was even worse. And the fourth quarter was bad too. Okay? So we'll see. That's part of it, Logan, but a lot of what he came in to fix did not get fixed tonight. I also still think he has a talent deficiency at safety. I'm not buying the academic issues with Emery. It is kind of weird, the timing of it. Is there something else at play? Why would it get leaked to the national announcers that it was an academic thing? Either way, you can't rely on him in a big moment. You just can't. Complex, it's been a while, man. Good to have you back. Honestly, I know it's early. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Teddy is just probably not good enough. Yeah, he was just standing on the sideline with his helmet off. He wasn't even close to playing. Brad, I felt this way too. And I got clobbered earlier in the comments. He really didn't. He had a good game. He took what the defense gave him. He did not do anything special, though. Now, he had to make those throws. He did. Okay. And he was very good. He was very good. I'm not taking that away from him. It's just LSU did not make him work enough. And the running game helped out. Cardell's on the sideline. And then, as Scarlett pointed out, he had a bad injury his first year. But even then, it just wasn't to be. But I'll tell you this, the good thing about Cardell was he was the first person to get a statement out about name, image, and likeness. So I do give him credit for that. I am a little shocked Chris Hilton played as much as he did tonight, though. I'm happy he got to play. I like Chris Hilton a lot. But I don't think now is a time to be rotating 12 deep. Yeah, Todd Harris, I don't know if he was out of position on the first long touchdown. It was an interesting decision, though, to bring him up into the box. It was. This is kind of crazy, too. So this is one of my best buddies in media, Aaron Torres. He is Fox Sports Radio. And he actually just tweeted this out. I want y'all to read this. LSU was the only team to get smoked by a Pac-12 team today. I'm dead serious. That's how I am too, Scarlett. I hate being critical. I do. It makes me very uncomfortable. But man, it's wild. I'll let y'all read it on the big screen really quickly. That's from Aaron Torres right there. So, Chris, tell me this, Chris. I know you're a diehard UCLA film guy, and you like to be balanced. You've been a UCLA fan for a long time. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Huh? You have to feel pretty good about where you are right now. This could be it. Pac-12 North 1-5 today. How are the divisions shaped up? I love it, man. Chris, it's okay. I'm actually pulling for UCLA. Knowing how much Chris has helped us with our videos this week, once again, the UCLA fan, RCO, who dropped a $300 super chat, is still up there. I think $2.99 is the biggest super chat we've gotten some big ones before, from Robert, Marcus, Trey. Let's see. UCLA better be the best team in the Pac-12 this season, the way they worked us over. I hope, for all our UCLA viewers, I hope this isn't a Mississippi State situation where LSU, that could have been the worst thing that happened. Also, it does kind of suck that La Tech was better prepared to play Mississippi State in that first game than we were last year. Yeah, but Oregon without Thibodeau is going to be very interesting. He is so good, but he is a defensive end, right? I don't know how USC and UCLA are. I mean, is DTR the best quarterback in that conference? My thing is, who's going to be the first big program that hires Kevin Kelly from Little Rock, Arkansas? He went to Pennsylvania. He never punts. And in his first game, he scored 84 points, and his quarterback had 10 touchdown passes. It's ridiculous. I don't know if they just played Bishop Sycamore. I don't know, but 10 touchdown passes in your first game, that's wild. Playoffs? Yeah, Rain, I am interested because Marcus Freeman did end up going to Notre Dame, right? So the narrative was, as far as the defensive coordinator search, and once again, I'm still a believer in Durante. It could just be my fandom. A lot was concerning tonight when crossers, once again, these are just shallow crossing routes. These aren't really that hard to defend. Slovis is the best. But here's the thing, Rain. So Marcus Freeman wanted to stay in the Midwest, And his wife was Catholic, so they wanted to stay in the Midwest, and that's why he ended up choosing Notre Dame. Okay, that's fine, but it is wild that every single human being had Marcus Freeman to LSU, and then at the very last second, he decides to go to Notre Dame. While I do think staying in the Midwest and the Catholic school thing and all that makes a lot of sense because Marcus Freeman played in the Midwest, he coached at Cincinnati, and that's his region. I also think with Brian Kelly being an offensive coach, he enjoyed the autonomy of being a defensive coordinator. So I do think that part of the reason why he decided to do that. But yeah, Chris, I never understood the JT Daniels hype. But here's a very interesting thing. Okay, a big winner who hasn't even played a game yet is Matt Corral. So Sam Howell sucked this weekend. DJ Uiagalelei, even though he's year 2, he can't come out, didn't really do anything. JT Daniels did nothing. If you're a Broncos or Panthers fan, you better sure as heck believe in Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold because you passed on Justin Fields. Well, Amakan, you've been watching me for a while now. I still think Derek Stingley is supremely talented. He did miss one tackle there at the end. Other than that, he was an overall really good game. But Eli Ricks is better. Okay? I've said it the entire offseason. If you can have Derek Stingley as your number 1 player in the SEC, that's perfectly fine. But you better have Eli Ricks close by. You just have to. He's really good. Eli Ricks is one of my highest hyped players ever coming out of high school. He's special. Now, once again, this is not a criticism, but it's just an observation. He's going to look at the film, knowing he's pick 6 Ricks. He did not have to dive to make his interception tonight. And I think he's going to look at that. Now, once again, do what you got to do to secure the interception. I think he's going to look at the film tonight and say, goodness, I could have stayed on my feet and potentially housed it. So, yeah. And I also had Ricks as my number 1 ranked player going into this year. And I had Kayshawn number 2 and Stingley number 3. I still think Sting's going to have a big year. He missed 1 tackle tonight. Other than that, he was good. But we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't go way more talented. You could say he's better. You could definitely say he's better. Way more talented? So, yeah, I mean, Stingley was really good tonight. He didn't miss that tackle, though. But the game was gone at that point. Wasn't Max supposed to be athletic enough to escape pressure? I'm going to give it a rewatch. He did get a little rattled. Oh, I get it, Tony. I know. That's a funny thing. But you still better come by and watch my stuff from Tony. You can't just divorce me and just say, okay, we're done with the LSU channel. I'm kidding. Move on with your team. Best of luck to you. But I get it. Do you worry we'll have talented enough players? Or okay, let's see. Do you worry we'll have talented players transfer out if we have a bad season without replacing O? Yeah, you should always worry about the portal. I think the portal will be popping soon for a few guys. That always happens. But yeah. Yeah. I don't think you should worry too much about that right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Exactly, Chris. This is a big thing. Do I get to keep the dog? I'm not gonna lie. So one of my really close buddies is going through this right now. It could be brutal. It could be very brutal. Now that I'm a dog owner, oh man, y'all didn't get to see Z tonight either. Haley already went to bed. If you want me to go get Z, I'll go get Z. But yeah, you know, Lavi, you do have to worry about the transfer portal and some players jumping out, especially considering some of the older players are 2019 national champions. It is kind of tough. What's up, Reggie? Good to see you. If we're a one-hit wonder, what does that make OUUGA? It still doesn't make any sense, Rain, that people say LSU's a one-hit wonder. You could say Ed Orgeron is potentially a one-hit wonder, but it doesn't ever make sense. And Ed had a good year in 2018 as well. You can't ever say LSU's a one-hit wonder. In fact, you can make the argument that LSU is the furthest thing in college football from a one-hit wonder because they have won 3 national championships with 3 different head coaches within a 2-decade time period. I don't think people understand how freaking ridiculous that is with 3 different coaches, okay? Yeah, Billy Bob, I never understood that. I did get a lot of crazy LSU score lines. In my gut, I really had a sour feeling about this. The LSU fan in me got me to say LSU was going to win this game. But the more I watched the tape, it just started becoming clear to me that this was going to be a tough matchup for LSU. So yeah. Oh, a national question. Who's your Heisman favorite after week 1? I don't know. Honestly, I've only focused mostly on the LSU UCLA game. Plus, Haley and I had to go to Ruston earlier. I was in Ruston, and I saw a bunch of Louisiana Tech fans at a bar, and they were getting so hyped. You could be them right now, okay? You do have to worry about this, Long V. You know, you can get do you want to be Michigan? That's all I got to ask you. Do you want to be Michigan? I don't think any one of you want to be Michigan, do you? Could happen. If you're not on top of it, It can happen. So let's go ahead and end this poll. Okay. A lot of you put the blame on Ed Orgeron and staff. Okay. Let's see. Lavi, I don't think Urban's the answer. I just don't think Urban's going to be the answer. He's the second best coach of this era. He's still better than Dabo in my mind. I just don't think Urban would be a good fit. I just don't. You get some baggage there, and it's just not. But Urban is special. Only Saban's better than Urban. Only Saban. Sabro, do you think if any LSU players will opt out this season to get for the NFL? Who? I guess Sting would be the only one that would have for sure locked up NFL draft. That's it. That's it. Let's see. I mean, Urban could. But once again, I don't want to get into coaches. Urban could save any program, though. He's the greatest coach of this era outside of Saban. Not talking about TJ tonight either. He would not have done any better. Mark Richt would be interesting. He is going through some health stuff, so I don't think he's the answer either. Richt would make some sense. So, yeah. Once again, not getting into coaching stuff too much. I'm more so talking about the talent of those coaches. But yeah, Mark Richt had some health stuff. Yeah, I don't think Rick is ever putting the headset on again. Still does TV, though. Should I go to bed? I'll go to bed here in a second. We are about 3 hours into it, and it is 2 a.m. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a Venmo, Cash App, Super Chat. I'll keep this train moving along just here. I don't know, Chad. I'd have to rewatch the game. Yeah, King Ulysses, I'm getting a few tweets from some UCLA guys, Chris Osgood being one of them. Yeah, Rain, and he didn't really do a whole lot with them. Nah, I don't get sad rewatching games. That's just part of the job now. Um, so here's the issue with this, Rain. I just don't think you can just rush for and play coverage all game. I just think quarterbacks are just too good now. And when you do that, eventually offensive coordinators are going to figure you out. So, um, it's hard to get pressure with 4 every time. Even if you run some twists and loops, you've got to blitz guys from second and third levels. So I think that's part of the issue with the linebackers, where they're having to cover all game, and it's kind of easy to see what they're doing. So yeah, and I understand Les Miles' name is being brought up a lot in the chat tonight. I don't know exactly why we're going back to the Les Miles era. I think part of the danger in doing that is, number one, he was also bad, but also number two, football was so different then. You know, the offenses are just so much more complex now. The quarterbacks are so much better. The rules have changed to favor the offense. And when you factor all of that in, you have to change a little bit what you need to do defensively. I think athletically, LSU is not fast enough right now, potentially on all 3 levels of the defense. I think speed is partially an issue. I think personnel is partially an issue. And that kind of coincides with scheme. So I understand Les gave you 10-win seasons, but that was in a completely different era, right? And the bottom half of the SEC wasn't as good as it is now, right? Um, so yeah, it was a little easier then than it is now. Okay. This is going to be a tough schedule. It's going to be a tough schedule. Okay. Because back then in the SEC, no one had athletic quarterbacks. They just didn't. Part of the reason why 2010 Cam was so dominant is that there was no other guys like him, right? It's part of why those Florida Tebow teams were so good. There wasn't many of those kind of guys playing quarterback. Now there's so many SEC teams that have these smarter athletic quarterbacks with all the rules going in their favor. It's a little different. It's a little different. So yeah. Well, all right, guys. We are 3 hours in, and you guys so much. I'm about to look at some film, and then I'm going to go to bed and cuddle with my dog. I know Z is somewhere. Next live stream will be Tuesday night. Hold on just a second, guys. Hold on. She wanted to say hi to brighten your evening. Hey, already went to bed. We couldn't do a live stream without Z. Look at when she got her hair cut. You could see her eyes now. Yeah, Scarlett, we need you here on Tuesday night. Thank you guys so much. And we might have a film study posted tomorrow. And we will see you guys then. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. What do you got to say about it, Z?